Well, another week, but hey, the upside to this, ladies and gentlemen, it's a Tuesday beginning week. Isn't that nice? We've got things set. This is kind of your rough day. Get on track. Wednesday, it won't feel like the middle of the week because you'll be saying, oh yeah, short week. Thursday will be that, oh, I got to get through this morning, the afternoon, and then, of course, Friday. But this is not a week going into a long weekend. On today's show, a guide to some of the oldest cheese ever. Well, sorta. We'll talk about it shortly. All the curds and whey of it.
This is Kelly and Company.
Hanging out with you as we begin another week on the program, wherever you are listening in on AMI Audio. We begin 2 p.m. Eastern Time weekdays, and thank you for listening in wherever you may be and enjoying the program. We'll tell you ways to give us some feedback later on if you'd like. Nisreen Abdul-Majid. When I say we, it's both of us here hosting today on the program. Nisreen, a long weekend here in Canada. I sent a message out to people on Twitter. Hopefully people had a wonderful time, a safe time, and a multitude of weather across the country. So you make the best of it. And it was noted that that's kind of the way for the Victoria Day weekend. A lot of people may be going to their cottage for the first time, whether they've already opened it, or camping. It used to be a big thing for my family, for my siblings to go out and camp. For that weekend, it was something they'd go on and on and on. And as a kid, wow, what is this May 2-4 weekend? You know, and I'd get the, never mind about the 2-4 part. It's to celebrate Queen Victoria. You know, their school lessons would come in.
Yeah, we used to take advantage of these long weekends. Now it just flies by. We don't even feel it.
Did your family ever really go places, or just a picnic kind of thing like we were talking about last week?
It's so funny because every time we tell people we do this, we get a laugh. People laugh at us for it. But we always just drive to either Detroit or somewhere along there and then stay at a hotel, and because they have like the best food. So we go there just for the food. Sometimes we don't even stay the night, and we just go to dinner and come back straight home. And it's just worth it for us. We love road trips, so that we count it as a road trip, and we take that advantage on the long weekends. You know, we chill out, get knafe, right after dinner, and then come right back. How about you?
So when you guys did that, where were you living? Were you Mississauga or Guelph or where? Okay.
No, still Mississauga.
It's interesting because Londoners here where I am, it's interesting to think about our loyalties to Detroit. I know when my family first moved here when I was a kid, we would go down in late June or early July. Well, it was usually late June. They'd have these huge fireworks display at the Freedom Festival in Detroit. I think they still do it. They still have the boats out on the river and shoot the fireworks off of these barges that are sitting out there. But they would get like well over 1 million people that would flock. Then they started to move it into the week so you wouldn't get so overwhelmed. It's like they said, yeah, but how many people are going to take work off or be able to go? We have to find some kind of control to cut it down. But they had, fair rides and everything on both sides of the river. It was back in a really cool time. So when anyone says to me, yeah, we'd go down to Windsor, Detroit area, yay, those poor people, especially now, obviously, need the influx of people coming in and spending their money going through a terrible time right now. But it's so interesting you say that because I'm so used to GTA people. Well, if they go into the States, they go across, they go to Niagara, they go to Buffalo.
Yeah. But you bring up a really good point. That's the whole point of a long weekend. Why would anyone take days off during the week? It doesn't make any sense to spread that out. But yeah, even if they were to spread that out, long weekend, it's still always packed. No matter where you go, always packed.
All I look forward to, of course, is fireworks and wait for it. No one's going to be surprised. And local baseball. That's the thing I would look forward to on that weekend, because at least generally there may be some rain, but it was at least warm enough to sit there. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter, if you would, at Kelly & Co AMI. Nisreen handles the account, so please interact, chat with her. That's on Instagram and Twitter at Kelly & Co AMI.
Emily Chambers is a program coordinator at the ConnecTra Society, a nonprofit organization dedicated to connecting individuals with physical disabilities to resources, programs, and community events. The ConnecTra Society organizes the Abilities Expo in Vancouver, coming up on June 9th, 2025, at the Roundhouse Community Centre in Vancouver. Emily Chambers is here with the details. Nice to reconnect with you, Emily.
Nice to reconnect with you as well. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. How long have you been working for ConnecTra? What do you enjoy about your work?
Okay, I have been working for ConnecTra since September 2020.
Wow.
So yeah, quite a while now. And I'd say what I enjoy most about my work is probably the creativity that I get to bring to it and connecting with the community. We have a lot of different types of programming that we offer, and we do a lot of in-person and online events where we get to actually kind of directly see the impact that we're having on our community. And that's just really rewarding.
Gosh, I think that's amazing when anyone can say we get to see the impact.
Yeah.
I know lots of people don't get that opportunity to do that, to actually see benefits and stuff like that. And I've always thought that would be really nice, but I'm sure it has its downsides because you can get frustrated with, gosh, we could do so much more if we had, or what would it take to help out that much more? Or, yeah, we're doing good there. But is that kind of some of the conversations that may permeate, but hopefully everybody takes some time to, that's great. There's the difference that this is making.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always a double-sided coin. We do these events called accessible community forums, and they're on pretty, important hot button topics like just kind of like accessible housing or how to get access to government funding. And it often exposes a lot of gaps that we have in the current system, even though we really try and make sure that people leave with sort of a positive feeling that there is work being done. But yeah, I mean, there's always more to do. But I think in theory, you just have to focus on the fact that it's good that we're even having these conversations and giving people in this community a platform to be heard.
Yeah, and just moving everything forward. Okay, so this year marks the 14th anniversary of the Abilities Expo, this edition, coinciding, funny enough, with ConnecTra Society's 25th anniversary. So first of all, congratulations on that tremendous milestone. The Abilities Expo is a one-day event happening on June 9th. What can visitors expect this year at it?
Yeah, so it's a super fun day. It runs from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at the Yaletown Roundhouse Community Centre in Vancouver, BC. And we'll have 40 plus different exhibitors and vendors. So everybody from, Disability Alliance BC to arts therapy like Pottery Works. We have All Bodies Dance coming in. So really it's just anybody that can sort of tie into the disability community. So you're going to be able to walk around, meet different organizations that are in an area near you that might be able to provide you with some assistance in some way or some new opportunities. And then there's also going to be presentations and some interactive activities as well.
Mm. And how can people stay in touch with the event remotely? And can they even stay in touch like after the event's done?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find out more about the event at abilitiesexpo25.eventbrite.ca. If you register for the event there, we'll have access to your email. We'll be sending out recordings of all presentations to everybody that's on our mailing list after the fact. We won't be live streaming this year just because of resources and sort of some technical difficulties that we've had in the past. We're kind of just making the focus a little bit more on quality over quantity this year. But you'll have access to all the presentations on our YouTube channel, our Facebook channel, and obviously just an opportunity to connect further with our community and our offerings by joining that mailing list.
Mm. Well, for people who are thinking, should I go? Can I go? If you can, make sure you go. It's a really great event, a really good networking piece. And when it comes to the value, Emily, for those who attend, who want to speak to people, what kinds of things do you hear about the value that I'm talking? I mean, if you're someone who's traveling a distance to kind of come to the event as a participant, not just someone as a, as a vendor, What
Mhm.
kinds of things do you guys hear on the value they're putting on this as they return every year?
Yeah, so I think both vendors and participants that come sort of year after year, we always get incredibly positive feedback on just how nice it is to reconnect in person with people that they maybe haven't seen or been talking to online for years. Also, to see some of the offerings that we give in our online weekly programming in the flesh, which is nice.
Mhm.
And usually, it's just sort of this big, you know, reconnection and meeting of new people that are sort of like-minded or maybe with the same sort of abilities as you have. And so I think it just sort of makes people feel really seen and hopefully connected, which is ConnecTra's whole thing.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. A lot of really positive attention. Again, it's interesting too because 25 years for ConnecTra, the event itself 14. With this event being that kind that anyone with any kind of disability can really benefit from, do you guys find that every year for that outreach, you guys have some specific goals as you roll it out? Like you said about the you want to have instead of you want to make sure it's more effective, the quality of it versus let's see how many people we can get streaming it in here and that kind of thing. Let's focus on boots on the floor and what we can give in return. So do you guys find that as this has progressed, you've had more of those kinds of focuses? And is that, some of the part of the focus for this year?
Yeah, I think we sort of streamline it more and more every year. I'd say last year we were sort of going bigger, trying to target more youth and get some sort of young adults coming in to be exposed to our programs. So the theme was Adventure Awaits. And yeah, it was really fun. We had Science World do a presentation, and we did have a lot more younger people coming out. This year, the theme is How to Thrive in 2025. And it's called, basically, the idea is your wellness, your way. So we have presentations on different ways to sort of advocate for wellness in your life and what your life can look like according to your own abilities and standards and not a societal or the way that somebody says your life should look. So
Mm.
again, I think we've just kind of gone smaller this year and more focused. The presenters are people that are really connected with the society as opposed to people that we've kind of reached out for if they're like a bigger name that might attract more people. We're kind of just like honoring the people that have been around the society for a long time.
I love
Wow.
that. I
Me
love
too. It
that.
must
The
help.
community,
Wow.
yeah. The community is, small, but as you said, the quality over quantity is definitely more important. You don't want it's always nice to focus on the people that have been there and stay connected. I know for myself, I miss those communities. I was just saying on the weekend, like I miss having those events to go to, especially for the disability community. We always used to have those events almost every month or so. So it's really nice to have those events now and to bring that back up. But why choose the Roundhouse Community Centre? Is that a special spot for you guys?
Yeah, it is a special spot for us. We have done this event there every year since I've been there. Obviously, we didn't have one of these in 2020 or 2021. So the last 3 years we've been at the Roundhouse. It's a very accessible venue. It's also
Mm.
really well situated with transit, which is important. It's a beautiful space. It's a big space. It's just, they've been a pleasure to work with and really supportive with sort of accommodating our individual needs. So yeah, until we find a different space. I mean, if it's not broken, don't try to fix it. So we just keep coming back. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a key when it comes to especially disability events where have different needs, and anyone who gets it, you really latch on and say, well, geez, thank you. It just allows you to focus your attention as an organization, as a planning committee, on so many other things. Just like the focus, having the focus allows you to zero in on who you want. Like you say, not so celebrity driven. We're looking for a specific kind of feel topic, and we want that consistency. And I'm sure as a planning committee that helps you guys too with, oh yeah, it'd be nice to have this person here, but you know what, or this organization, but doesn't kind of fit this year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Those things come into consideration. Last year, we tried to expand and let in a lot more vendors as we just like had more applications coming in, and we thought, oh, what if we rent out another room? And to be honest, it was a fantastic event, but it was just too big.
Yeah.
It was just
Yes.
too big. I felt like people didn't get as much time with individual organizations because they were moving around so much, or there were some people situated in other areas that didn't get to be a part of the main room as much. And so this year we just want to kind of take a step back and again, just sort of go concise, go quality, and make sure that everybody just has a really great time and they're in the same room together.
You bring
Nice.
up a really good point. When it's just too big, it's less ways to connect with people, and obviously ConnecTra, the whole point.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's funny how it works. But I love that you had that problem. That's a really
Yeah.
positive problem to have.
Yeah, it really, and
Yeah.
it also keeps you from, I mean, obviously there are loyalty, there are people people should hear from every
Yeah.
year, but you also have to make those choices of this year, they don't kind of fit what we're trying to achieve. And, you welcome them. Hey guys, thank you. This year we're going a bit different, but please apply next year. We'll see what our goals are for next year and try to work you in.
Exactly. Yeah. We do want it to feel like it has an overall theme and that everyone there can sort of contribute and play off of that theme. So
Nice.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to this year's.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for joining us today.
Thank you guys for having us, and thanks to AMI for being a partner on this. And I know that some people are flying out from Toronto to be there, which is amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, really looking forward to having a successful year again.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, have fun. Our colleague Grant Hardy, host of The Pulse on AMI Audio, will be on location at the Abilities Expo on June 9th. So stay tuned for details on that event coverage. We were chatting with Emily Chambers, program coordinator at the ConnecTra Society, to get the highlights of this year's Abilities Expo.
I'm running down the list of things that the team of Kelly and Company like. Chocolate, okay. Cake, okay, wonderful.
Okay.
Coffees, teas, right? They're up there. How about cheese? I think we're all kind of thumbs up on some kind of cheese. Obviously, not all kinds, but this was released on April 28th, this item. This is called Curd Your Enthusiasm, Secrets of Oldest Book on Cheese Revealed, and this is by the University of Leeds. This is the earliest known English book that's been found on cheese, and they say it is incredibly fascinating, but sometimes a little nauseating contents to the public, especially giving it its first read. This new transcription made by Tudor reenactors at Kenwell Hall is now available. You can read this online alongside the digital version of the handwritten manuscript. Can you imagine? This pamphlet compiled of cheese contains the differences, nature, and qualities, plus the goodness of the same. Oh, gosh, yeah. And this was actually unpublished and unknown until it surfaced at an auction in 2023 and acquired by the university with the support of grants from Friends of the Nation's Libraries. So this is a 112 page vellum manuscript, and of course it's thought to date from the 1580s. Okay, so quite a while ago on this great parchment paper. This is really kind of cool. Now I think here it says here over the last 50 years what a revival of English cheese coming from England as this is, of all kinds of varieties there. I would say here in Canada we're the same. I mean, maybe not the last 50 years, maybe the last 25 years, but people have gone cheese crazy.
Yeah. It's kind of surprising how I find that a lot of people love cheese. Maybe it has something to do with poutine, and there's just a different variety.
Maybe.
That's one of my
or
reasons.
Events, right? I think because people have gotten into, maybe even because we've changed the meat and cheese. You don't necessarily have to have like a charcuterie board necessarily with meat on it. Maybe vegetables, fruit. But it's that thing people, when you invite people over, can have. Now, food historian Peter Brenner.
It became part of a trend.
It did, for sure. He says, I've never seen anything like it. It's probably the first comprehensive academic study of a single foodstuff item in the English language. He says readings from the new transcription can be heard for the first time. There's a food program on BBC4, so you can look back in their archives for that. Says Dr. Alex Banji, Associate Professor of Early Modern History at the University of Leeds School of History. The writer has woven together ancient knowledge with their own learning experience. It's such a great thing that people knew so much. The role of diet back in this period. Food was useful both to prevent and respond to illness. And ordinary people, just you and I out there, had quite a complex understanding of that. The term very intolerant may not have been used then, but there was certainly an understanding that cheese worked better in some people's bodies than others. Wow. Mm-hmm. That's kind of interesting that you would have that knowledge of it back then and say, hey, but then again, maybe it was created or utilized a lot more that way. There was a lot of discussion of when people should eat cheese. Generally, the view was best towards the end of a meal. What is your upbringing when it comes to cheese? Do you have it just as a snack, or if you have it with a meal, when do you eat it?
I always have it as a snack, but when it comes to cheese in a meal, in a full meal, I like melting cheese on everything. Unless it's Parmesan, then I sprinkle it all over the place. So I think I would eat it, as part of my whole meal rather than just a snack. But if it were to a snack, it would be like, cubed charcuterie board, that type of vibe. But when it comes to dinner, I like to melt cheese on my chicken. I like to, sprinkle cheese on my pasta, whatever it may be. Cheese has to be there.
It's
most
interesting
of the time.
because I think it's like here it says most people like to subscribe to eating it near the end of the meal, but I don't know. I think I'd argue and put that what your point is about a lot of us. If there's cheese involved with our meal now, it's melted in some form or eaten in a different way than just. And cheese is so great. Tastes different melted. No matter what your favorite cheese is, it's going to have a different taste melted than it does cold, than it does room temperature, or sometimes depending what you have it even alongside of, let alone melted on. So most of the cheese that we bother with today, of course, comes from factory dairies, made from milk from a wide area. Like it doesn't have a link to any specific places. So what they did in the 16th or what they knew in the 16th century, and what science is now starting to confirm, is cheese from different places, made from the milk of different breeds of cows, sheep, and goats, creates unique flavors, smells, and of course textures. Why it's a complex fermented food, cheese is. It has a unique ability to improve our health. Fascinating, Nisreen. Absolutely fascinating.
For you.
Book. Yeah.
Are you one of those people like me who asks for extra cheese in every location? Because I hate when they just sprinkle like a teeny weeny bit on like in your Chipotle burrito bowl or on your pasta when they just like, I'm like, no, extra cheese, extra.
So what I do with cheese and pepper is I deceive them. They're so used to a person saying, because they'll come up and say when or say stop, and they start shh. They don't think about the fact that I'm blind and can't even tell. So I just let them go. And then I suddenly say, okay, that's enough. They have no idea. So usually they're waiting for me, and by the time they realize, oh, he's not going to know, if it dawns on them, they've poured more on. Because to me, you can't. I mean, all right, hot peppers, maybe I'll hold them back. But cheese, there's no way I'm going to do that. Remember, check out our podcast from your platform of choice and give us a rating and review if you would. Subscribe to our YouTube page where you can enjoy the content from our show. We would absolutely love to have you on board doing that. Always great to know you're out there, whether it's through the social media or engaging in the content in the different ways that we make it available. On Parasport Nation, host Alex Smythe spotlights upcoming parasport events in Canada and abroad. He pulls back the curtain on how parasports are played, interviews parasport athletes, coaches, and trainers. So we're going to check in with the host of the show, Alex. Welcome back. Keeping yourself incredibly busy at the end of April and into May. Time for the breather and a time for a little education and discussion, if you would, with us today.
Yeah, Kelly. Well, I wanted to provide a bit of a education, as you say, on a sport that I've been kind of busy with the last few weeks. As you mentioned, I've been doing a lot of traveling. One of those stops was in Montreal for Defi Sportif, where they hosted the National Wheelchair Curling Championships. So I wanted to provide a bit of a education on the sport itself, some details and some variances that are specific for wheelchair curling. So, obviously, the sport has been part of the Paralympics since 2006. It is a mixed gender sport, which is quite unique. Not a lot of them are mixed gender sports. So, at least one woman has to be on the ice per each team at all times. There are teams of five that compete. That does include an alternate in case something happens. So there's four on the ice and one off the ice in case of the need arising. They play 8 ends or rounds, and they alternate the side after each end. Each athlete on the team throws 2 stones per end. So that in total is 8 stones per team per end. Most of the rules are very similar to the able bodied style of curling. However, there are a few exceptions. So the biggest one when it comes to wheelchair curling is there is no sweeping done at all in the sport. Now, this is a major departure because really one of the essence of curling is the sweeping, the hurry hard, all that.
Hmm.
That's what you
Yeah.
think of when you think of curling. That is not in wheelchair curling. So it plays out much more like boccia, where it's a precision game where you're throwing a stone, trying to get it close to the house to get more points as a result. There's also a few adjustments when it comes to delivering the stone. Obviously, people are using wheelchairs during this sport, so whoever is delivering the rock or the stone has to be anchored by a teammate. So a teammate will come up behind them, hold on to their chair,
Right.
and they will make sure there's no moving or slipping. The person who's delivering the stone, they can also use a stick or cue to help them deliver the stone or throw it because when you're leaning over the side of your chair it can be kind of uncomfortable, plus it's leaning too far, the positioning, the delivery can be thrown off if you're trying to do it by hand. So you are allowed to use a cue to deliver the stone. The one other thing that's a bit unique is when the stone is delivered, there is a center line that runs straight down the middle of the ice sheet. The stone has to be delivered within 18 inches of that center line. So you can position yourself a bit to
Whoa.
the left or right, but you still have to stay within 18 inches of that line.
Wow.
So yeah, it's very specific changes, but both of those key ones, including the sweeping rule or not sweeping rule and the 18-inch line, were both things that came up in my conversations with Billy Bridges and with Ina Forrest. Ina Forrest being a Paralympic wheelchair curler, Billy Bridges, formerly of the para ice hockey team. Billy
Okay.
would love to see sweeping introduced into the sport to add some energy, some connectiveness to it.
Yeah, that's kind of what I get. I know as a blind curler, when I participated, this is a big thing for people. They love that feel. They love that sound, everything that we associate, almost being the biggest part of it, whether it's the sound, and everything like that. And then you wonder, do people in the circumstances, there's a lot of these people throwing these stones with a lot of strength. So one would argue you don't need it. It's a different kind of reason if you look at the true nature of it. What are some of the things that do you think this would be something from other people that we need it, or is it just for show as far as many of them are concerned at this stage in this particular sport?
I think there is a bit of an appetite there. Obviously, I think part of that comes from the fact is the players just want it to be curling as much as possible. They want it to translate to any audience member who's never seen wheelchair curling before. They can come in, they can watch, and there's not really a lot of differences. So I think there's that aspect. But as Billy does mention, there's that physicality. You want to get that kind of connectiveness in and energy into that game because it can be very much a quiet position sport right now. But if
Mm-hmm.
you allow for sweeping for certain people, I mean, it would be very fascinating to see how teams adjust. Maybe the makeup of the team changes. Maybe you bring in some more para ice hockey guys or wheelchair basketball guys who are really active, who are really used to moving up and down quickly with the chair. I would love to see how that strategy plays out in the game.
What kind of tires, what kind of work you got to do in that venue to do it, or are the sweepers neutral? Alex, wonderful. Thanks a lot, pal. Have a good show today.
Yeah, thank you very much. We'll catch you next time.
You betcha, sir. Really great. Great to have the sport explained as Alex Smythe joins us. Parasport Nation is on right after Kelly and Company, Tuesdays and Fridays on AMI Audio and available as a podcast and on YouTube. Please check out their show. Email us at kellyco@ami.ca. Nazreen and I will talk to you tomorrow on the show. You can also give us a call, 1-866-509-4545. We'd love to hear your feedback, maybe even use it on a program. On the next show, the weather is warm, and we're ready to soak up the season. Independent living skills specialist Leanne Barda is here with inclusive considerations for our social summer activities. Plus, as the class of 2025 prepares to enter the workforce, new research from Robert Half highlights the top challenges that early career professionals face, along with practical steps to overcome them. We'll chat with our friend Michael French on the program. We're waving at you. Talk to you tomorrow.
Thanks for tuning in to Kelly and Company. Follow us on all social media, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for more.